Welcome to Local is Lekker. As you can see, we are on North Beach in Durban. Today we are visiting Billy and Tracy Harker at Funky Pants. Funky Pants is a surf ski brand that was probably born here right behind us in the surf. And I really look forward to bringing you this lovely story from the garage of Tracy and Billy Harker.
My name is Billy Harker, and myself, my wife Tracy, make ridiculously comfy funky pants. Back in the late 90s, I got a transfer from Durban to Cape Town, and I used to participate in ocean surf ski paddling races in Durban, and in the Western Cape they didn't actually have races on Sundays, and so I suggested to the local guys after I'd been there for about a year or so that we should look into making races on Sundays. Now, at the time, in the Western Cape, all canoeing events took place on Saturdays. People never paddled on Sundays because Sunday was the day that you go to church. And I sort of said to the guys, but Sundays works really, really well because it's a day of rest, and everybody has completed things that they needed to do on Saturday. You know, if you have any children, they've got school sport on Saturday. The local guys there said no one will ever participate in a surf ski paddling race on Sundays. We started organizing races on Sundays. So we had 45 people turn up for a paddling race in the ocean, which was a massive turnout for a weekend event. And I went on doing that for fun for another 18 months, and then eventually resigned from that company I was with in computer sales, and decided to give it a crack organizing paddling races in the ocean and attempting to make a living out of it. Well, 8 months later, I was down to my last 200 Rand, and I was lying on the beach in Camps Bay under a Santam umbrella, and my mate Mark Bailey came over to me and he said, "Hey Bill, you won't believe it. The guy who rents out the umbrellas on Camps Bay Beach, he has just been given money by Santam to have these, and they also gave him the umbrellas because they're trying to change the way the product is perceived. Come and talk to Rob, he's got the guy's name and number." So we phoned Jonathan Cherry from the beach on that day, and we arranged a meeting for the next day, which is a Thursday. On the Monday, they gave us the money for the next 6 months for us to survive. We then went on to organize a series of races around South Africa, and we were also instrumental in setting up the World Championships, the first ever recognized World Surf Ski Championships in 2013, which was 16 years later, and South Africa actually won the World Championships of Surf Ski. During this time, I met and married my wife Tracy. We actually used to make prizes, and the prizes that we made were paddling shorts, and Tracy was originally, getting them made through various people. And I think for the people that she was working with, it was always sort of a bit of a sideline thing. And Tracy just grew a bit frustrated and just felt that she could do it better. And so she went ahead and started working on her own design of these pants and came up with these amazingly comfortable shorts. And we used to get the brands that were involved in the sport at the time to sponsor and buy these garments, which we would then give away as prizes to the paddlers. And so we used to make paddling shorts with the brands on the shorts, so always a plain color, generally either navy blue, royal blue, or black. Those were the only colors that we really ever made paddling shorts out of. Anyway, so one time when Tracy was down at the manufacturer, she saw some colorful prints, and she asked if it was the same fabric, and it happened that it was. And so she then went ahead and made some colorful prints. When the manufacturer sent us the garments, he actually made like 200 pairs where we'd asked for 20, just to sort of test the market. And at that time we were living half the year in Durban in winter, and then we would go down to Cape Town for the summer, because the ocean paddling races take place in the non-rainy season. In South Africa it rains in Durban in summer and in Cape Town in winter, so it's opposite. So we were heading down in October for the next summer season. This is in the very early 2000s, and we took all these radically bright and ridiculous, they were all stripes, all version of stripes, candy stripes, quite fun, but we had like light brown, darker brown, poo brown, some with like blue with a bright, shiny silver in between. I mean, stuff you would never imagine that anybody would go after. We used to have a registration event at the beginning of the season, which were very well attended. And so we put up the shorts, these paddling shorts up on a rail. And to our absolute amazement, we sold them all. People just loved them. People just loved the variety. And they obviously were ready for a bit of a change. And so they became a bit of a smash hit immediately overnight. But strictly only within the paddling crowd. We never actually sold them outside of the paddling market. We would only do them at the events, and it was very much a sideline thing. So this carried on for about 4 or 5 years, that we would go out and just find whatever fabric we could literally find lying around. And then I would say one of the major turning points was when myself and Tracy decided to do a major trail running event. It was called the Golden Gates Challenge, which takes place in the Free State, a quite serious 3-day trail running event. When you do trail running, it's a lot of up and down, so one never runs up the hill. And so what I found was happening is that I would sort of start sweating, and then when you go for the walk, then you tend to not sweat so much, and it dries, and I was experiencing terrible chafe between the legs. No fun whatsoever. And it suddenly dawned on me that I never experienced any chafe when I was doing the Doozy Canoe Marathon. Now on Doozy, obviously you paddle a bit and you jump out the boat and you run. You portage the boat over the hill, put it back in the river, and you paddle again. And I'd never ever experienced any chafe, and I never even thought about my shorts. And suddenly I thought, well, why don't I just actually run in my funky pants? And we did a lot of training here in Durban. We joined up with a local crowd called the Riverside Trail, and they sort of held our hand, and we learned all the ins and outs of trail running through these people. As we were packing to leave, my wife Tracy actually said, hey, why don't we take some of our funky pants? I mean, our total range was 1 rail, or 2 rails or whatever, 1 rail with the H stand on the top and in the middle. And so we took the rail. At the end of the day, we were all lurking around, having a quiet beer, lurking around the tents and stuff. And people sort of walked past. They say, hey, look, you just spent 7 hours with somebody. They said, hey, well, did you bring any of these things with you to sell? So we said, well, actually, we actually did, type of thing. Anyway, so we took out the rail, and they all sold. And so by the end of that event, we actually had sold about 100 pairs of funky pants, all to first-time users, and they all had the same experience. Number one is that it's really fun to wear them, because people actually let their guard down, and you find that you actually get involved and have conversations with people. But I think the most important thing is that the pants are really, really comfortable to run in. That Golden Gates Mountain Challenge, getting into the running market through the trail running, was basically where the whole thing exploded. Because then we moved out of strictly the paddling shorts, which is still our core, still our base from where we come, and we will never forget that, and we still are heavily involved in that market. We all paddle in the family, and we love it. But obviously the running market is much, much, much bigger. But then came our first challenge. We, at the time, were just going out and seeking out leftover bits of fabric that were lying around here and there. And eventually we actually could not find any brightly colored fabric anywhere in South Africa. And so we then had to find, well, now we have to actually make our own prints. And so for the last 10 years now, we've actually been designing our own prints, and we print the fabric comes as a base white, and then we print our own prints and sell our own prints. Something that's been amazing has been that people who have been running in funky pants and are at running clubs have been approaching their club committees and requesting that the clubs make custom-made funky pants for their club, because they found our pants so comfortable to run in. And over the last 5 years, we've just had a wave of running clubs coming at us, requesting us to make club custom funky pants for the clubs, and that's been an unbelievable growth point for us. Yeah, and then the next thing that started happening is that we started to have people from outlying areas getting in touch with us and asking us if they could actually sell funky pants in their region. We tried to make it as easy as possible for those people to get involved, and they've become an integral part of the success of our business, because they're all over the place, and in small and big towns. And so that's become a very, very strong growth point for us, and obviously unbelievable driver of the brand recognition, and just allows us to be all over the place on the same day at events where our customers are present. And because we don't believe, we're an active family, the last thing we want to do on a Saturday morning is go to the shops. But now we actually are putting these products for the sport that they're involved in where they are anyway. And so it's been amazing for growing the brand. We've stuck to the same sort of model since inception. So not only do we have people who resell our products in South Africa, but we also have about 16 people around the world who also buy our products and resell them. All of this actually mainly happened through our time as organizing paddling races in the ocean, because people would come from around the world to participate in World Cup events in South Africa. And then we also started to travel abroad with the surf ski paddling events. We went to Hong Kong to assist the organizers on the first year that they organized the race, because we were the most experienced in the world at the time. We also went to New Zealand for the same reason there. So we got to know all the people. The one interesting one is the European guys. He, for example, did a 2-month cycling tour around the world with a paddling friend from the Western Cape, and this chap said to him, listen, the only thing that you're going to not get a rash from, and we're going to be running every day and riding every day, is these funky pants. And he wore them, got to the end of the tour, and he said, listen here, I've got to take this to Europe. Right, so we're in our garage now. As you can see, our garage has become quite big. We started off with 2, then we went to 3, now we're on to 5. But this really gives you a sense of what Funky Pants is all about. All these prints, they all have names. This is our men's large. And as you can see, looking here, I think we've probably got about 50 print options available. And that's one of the keys to our success, is that basically we have a huge range, and all the products are different designs, and they're all different colors. So what we find is that once people have one print, whatever it may be, they tend to get a second pair because of the comfort. So the secret of our success is that the shorts are fully lined. So it's like having 2 pairs of shorts. It actually basically takes the sweat off your body, and the biggest thing is that they don't ride up and they don't slip down. They just stay exactly where you want them to stay. And the net effect of that is that you don't get any chafe when you wear the pants. So people do quite serious stuff in these funky pants. I think one of our classic stories is there's a group called the Mamu Loman, and they basically do something called the Valley Run. We're right near the Umgeni River here. So they start at the mouth of the Umgeni River. They run up the Umgeni River. They run backwards up the Duzi Canoe Marathon route to the start of Comrades. That's 120 kilometers. And then they run Comrades as they arrive there. And they wear funky pants, and they don't have any chafe whatsoever. They don't use any lube. The pants just, boom, they just work. I told you about the custom orders. So this is a running group in Durban. It's called Beloved Long Runs. It's by a chap by the name of Dean. And each year, he actually, we come up with the design together, and then people buy them. I'll just show you the kids ones, like Eddie Will Go. This is from Eddie's 6th birthday. That's Eddie Will Go. Here's Henry. This is Henry the 10th. And then over here is Henry the 9th. And here's Henry the 8th. So Henry's 11 years old. So this year he didn't get one because of COVID. So he had no party. So there is no Henry the 11th. So classic. So some of the other products that we do, we also do the cycling pants, which are on your right hand side here. So we import a cycling pad from Italy because the Italians make the best cycling pads. So our cycling range also does well. We do the bibs as well as the classics. Down here we've got 3/4 and full lengths. Also, they're made for marathon runners. People actually, some women in particular, prefer to run in 3/4 length. So we've got our 3/4 length range, and then for colder climates, people also wear the full lengths. Obviously, because they're built for running long distance, they're super comfortable. Obviously, if you can run in a garment, well, then you can walk in it, so you can sit at home and be super comfortable. Triathlon suits. Again, myself and Tracy, we did the half Ironman in Durban 2 or 3 years in a row. So it was quite a funny story, because I assumed that only the top dogs actually wore a triathlon suit. So we had some triathlon suits made in these ridiculously bright colors, and I was so surprised when we turned up at the event and the whole entire field actually wears the triathlon suit. And the reason for that is it's definitely the best garment to wear, because you don't have to change out of your kit. But that was quite interesting, turning up at a triathlon with the whole field with black tri-suits. This was about 5 years ago, and now it's common cause to see brightly colored kits out on the road, and in the triathlon events and stuff. Yeah, so I mentioned the kiddies one, so it's now become quite a big part of our business, and yeah, the kids love them. Our kids wear them all day. We quite enjoy camping as a family. Mothers will come to my wife Tracy and say, hey, it's like, your kids don't have to change all the time, because their kids, they'll be running around, riding the bike, dive in the pool, go home, change their gear, whatever, back in the pool, change their gear. Because obviously once you have wet pants, you don't want to walk around with them, otherwise you get that, you see the oaks walking around like that. Whereas with the funky pants, the kids wear one garment. In fact, we have to force them to change. It's so interesting to think back now and think, how did it happen that the guy organizing paddling races, his wife who was organizing the prizes, are now able to support a family of 4 children. I think the most important thing was that we really enjoyed our own events that we organized. We loved participating in them. We enjoyed participating in other people's events. And I just couldn't think of any other way to market these products to the people who were there other than to take them to where they were. It was fortuitous for me that I was involved in the computer industry, in the computer age, kind of at the birth of mass communication, because right at the start of organizing paddling races in the sea, how I actually started is that I phoned the whole of the Western Cape canoeing database and I got their email address. People didn't actually realize that you could actually email your mate down the road. It was that new. And so when they got an email from me about a sporting event that was happening the following Saturday, it was a complete shock. Our business is now based on that. This morning we launched a high-waist funky pants brand, and I was able to email my entire database to tell them about it, and we sold out. Out of interest, I've been sending email to these people for 23 years. So again, it's kind of a unique relationship to be in a position where you can communicate directly to people one-on-one through a computer and express your excitement about bringing something new to the market. Thanks so much for joining us in the Funky Pants HQ. You are able to shop for these products online at www.funkypants.co.za, and our physical address is on the website as well.